So what is the true legacy of Abraham and Jacob, really? In this explainer, we're going to explore the real meaning behind their faith, challenge a few common misconceptions, and look at a huge, pivotal moment that really tested their followers, the change in the direction of prayer, also known as the Qiblah. Okay, let's just dive right in. The message is actually pretty simple, but wow, is it powerful. True religion is all about submission to God, and God alone. It's not about tribal pride, not about some kind of inherited arrogance, and definitely not about picking and choosing what you want to believe. So let's start at the beginning, with the foundation. We see Abraham instructing his children to hold on tight to the religion God had chosen for them. And then Jacob, he carried forward that exact same teaching. Now, what's really key here is the emphasis on what their message was. It wasn't about adopting some later sectarian identity or joining a specific group. No, it was about one thing: remaining completely surrendered to God until the moment you die. The religion of Abraham was Islam in its most pure original sense, just complete submission to the one God. And a believer has to stay loyal to that path for their entire life. And this part, it just brilliantly illustrates a prophet's ultimate concern. The Qur'an takes us right to Jacob's deathbed. In that final moment, he didn't ask his sons about their careers or their wealth. He asked them, "Whom will you worship after I'm gone?" And their answer was crystal clear. They would worship the one God of their fathers, declaring they were submitted to him alone. It just goes to show you, the real concern at the end of your life is the faith of your children. So, this foundation of pure submission leads us straight into a major correction that the Qur'an offers. It directly challenges the whole idea of relying on your ancestry, and instead puts the focus squarely on your own individual faith. It just cuts right through all that pride in your lineage with one definitive statement. Those people have passed away. They will get the results of what they did. And you will get the results of what you do. No one's going to be asked about what their great-great-grandparents did. So the crucial point is this. It's a direct warning against coasting on your family history or how righteous your ancestors were. When it comes to God, every single person stands on their own, with their own faith and their own deeds. Fundamental question: where can you find true spiritual guidance? Back then, the common answer was pretty specific. You had to follow a certain path, either becoming a Jew or a Christian. But then, a completely different idea was put on the table. This simple idea just totally reframes the entire understanding of faith. Believers are told to affirm their faith in God and in everything revealed, not just to them, but to this entire lineage of prophets: Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, their descendants, Moses, and Jesus. And the key thing here is the principle this slide highlights. We do not divide between any of them. What that means is that true faith isn't selective. You don't get to pick and choose your prophets. It's about accepting all the guidance that truly comes from God. So the logic just naturally follows from there. If people accept faith based on this all-inclusive idea, they're considered to be rightly guided. But if they turn away from it, well, it's not seen as just a sincere disagreement. It's seen as stubborn opposition. And the message underneath it all is a reminder that God is aware of this resistance. He hears and knows everything. Then the Qur'an gives us this absolutely beautiful expression. It says to adopt the color of God. Because really, what color could possibly be better than the one he gives? This means the true mark of faith isn't some outward label people made up, but a life that is literally colored by your devotion to God and your acceptance of all his guidance. What's the ultimate measure of that color? When you're faced with religious arguments, the point is made: why argue about God when he is the Lord of everyone? Every single person is judged by their own deeds. So what really sets true believers apart? It's their sincerity and devotion. In other words, the real distinction isn't your ethnic background or your sectarian label. It's your sincerity before God. And this brings us to a direct challenge, right? It challenges the whole idea of putting these later labels on the early prophets. The question is posed directly: were Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, and their descendants really Jews or Christians? Or does God know better? And this isn't presented as just some honest mistake. It's described as actively hiding a testimony that came directly from God. The warning here is severe. Knowingly concealing the truth is a grave injustice. And God is fully aware of what people are doing when they twist religion just to serve their own pride. Okay, so now the passage takes a turn and focuses on a huge event, a really pivotal test for that early community: the change of the Qiblah. As you can imagine, this was a massive shift, and the Qur'an totally anticipates the reaction.
It says that some foolish people would start asking why the believers had been turned away from the direction they used to pray in.
And that was the central question, wasn't it? The one that would challenge their conviction and really put their obedience to the test.
But the divine answer just completely reframes the entire debate. The response is basically, East and West, they both belong to God. He's the one who guides whoever he wants to the straight path. You see, the direction itself doesn't have any holiness on its own, separate from God's command. The deeper issue here was always about obedience. So let's explore this test of true faith a little deeper and look at the incredible wisdom behind such a significant change. The Qur'an explains that the first direction of prayer was actually assigned as a test to distinguish who was really truly following the messenger from who was just going to turn back on their heels. And yeah, it was a difficult test, but not for those whom God had truly guided. And these trials, they aren't meant to waste your faith. They're actually a part of his mercy, designed to purify, train, and strengthen people. And by passing this test, a unique role was established for them. This community was made a middle community, divinely placed in this special position, right between the messenger and the rest of humanity. So what was their purpose? Well, it was to bear witness to the truth before the whole world, while the messenger, in turn, was bearing witness over the community itself. It's this profound two-way responsibility. So all of this focus on restoring an original, pure truth, it's all building up to a huge, historic event. The scene is set with this real feeling of anticipation. The Prophet Muhammad had been looking up to the heavens, just waiting for a decision from God. He wanted to orient prayer toward the direction that was originally established by Abraham. And then it happened. The command arrived. It was this pivotal moment of revelation. Turn your face toward Al-Masjid al-Haram, the sacred mosque in Mecca. The instruction couldn't have been clearer. Wherever you are, turn toward it in prayer. This was the moment of reorientation. But here's the thing. This change wasn't a total shock to everyone. It's said that the people of the book, the Jews and Christians who had the earlier scriptures, they already knew this was the truth. They understood the history of Abraham, they knew the significance of the sacred house, and they recognized the signs of the final prophet. And yet, even though they recognized it, many still refused to accept it. And this brings us to our final section, the unwavering truth, and that critical difference between sincerity and just following your own desires. Now, this is really interesting. The insight it gives into why truth sometimes gets rejected. It says that among the people of the book, there were those who recognized this truth as clearly as they recognized their own kids. The signs were that familiar to them. And yet, a group among them knowingly concealed the truth. So the problem wasn't a lack of evidence. It was the deliberate suppression of what they already knew was true. And so the passage ends with complete and total certainty, leaving absolutely no room for ambiguity. This is the truth from your Lord, so do not fall into doubt. So the huge takeaway from this whole explainer is that real guidance isn't built on public pressure or what your family has always done or the demands of other groups. It is built on one thing, what God himself has made clear. And this leaves us with a final, powerful question to really reflect on. Do we accept all of God's guidance with sincerity, or do we tend to prefer only the parts that match our own habits and preferences?